Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is Darragh Kelly, one of the best European lightweights. Hello, Darragh. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Taking it easy.
And a few weeks ago, you won another fight. It was your ninth pro victory, but your opponent, should be Jason Ponnet, if I'm correct, the veteran of
Mhm.
the game.
Yeah, so originally I was meant to fight I'm not sure if he was Dagestani or he was Chechnyan. I can't remember how to pronounce his name, but I was meant to fight him, and we were preparing for maybe 4 or 5 weeks for that guy. Then Jason Poney stepped in, so we prepared for him for another few weeks, and then we got like three names on the last 2 weeks, and uh, I can't even say his name now. The guy I fought in Nantes, he was preparing for a fight in Tajikistan, so they switched him around and got him in.
But in the end, you fought against a guy who was at that point 10-1, and of course, he seems to be a really good fighter, and you finished him quite quickly. So I think that it was like great feeling that with all of the like mix up with your opponents, you could beat the opponent quite quickly.
Yeah, it's I suppose it's going to be a good feeling when you get anyone out of there that fast, isn't it? But no, we knew he was going to be dangerous, especially on the feet. So as soon as I didn't even mean to clinch up, I committed to a shot a wee bit too much, and we ended up in a clinch. And I felt then that that was probably going to be the easiest path to victory was to bring him to the floor. So that's what we done.
And I think that right now the question should be what's next for you? Because in the end of the day, you never lost a fight. Of course, you are undefeated as the pro and you fought against few really talented fighters. So probably your next fight should be a really big one.
Yeah, well, anytime anyone's asking me, I'm doing interviews. The fight I want is Jacob Kazuba. If it's not the next one, make it next year at some point. We were scheduled to fight. Was it? Would have been last June in Saudi Arabia, and then the fight got brought forward to Kansas, and I think maybe he was too heavy or something. With the 2 weeks less to make weight. I think that's what it was. But we were scheduled to fight, so let's make that one happen. You know, that's I think that's a big fight. Two undefeated streaks, 18-0 across amateur and pro, and I think he's like maybe like 24 now. So
Yes, and of course he was a two-time PFL Europe champion, so, and of course he's
exactly it.
undefeated. So definitely it would be a really good fight.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It's a nice name to take as well, as you said. The two-time European champ, that kind of puts a stamp on the European scene for me. Then, you know.
And as the amateur, you finished all of your opponents, and in a second pro fight, you fought first time in the decision. You won by decision, and at that point, were you a little bit like maybe frustrated, maybe sad that you weren't able to finish him, or you just thought that this kind of fights will happen? That in the end of the day, some fighters are really tough to be finished.
Oh no, I was really devastated. I felt like I lost. Um, Obviously I didn't lose. It was 30-26, but that's how I felt. The same kind of emotions. Um, but it proved to me, or not proved to me, it showed me, I was cutting corners. I was going too far into the grappling. I was grappling all the time instead of striking, and I was stupid as well. I was so like in my head, I thought I could just go out and run through everyone. Um, so there was no energy management or anything at that stage in my career. It was just from bell to bell, go, and you can only do that for so long. You know what I mean? Once the level increases, you're going to be found out in that game. You have to be smart. So that was the start of me going back to the drawing board and making up a new style, a new plan, and it forced me to level up. So, I got the win, first decision. But what I took from that was the start of Darragh 2.0, I suppose you could say.
And overall, when I'm thinking about Irish fighter, I think about like a boxer, striker, and in the end, you are much more of the grappler. You are very good on the ground. You have good takedowns, good submissions. So, what was the first sport that you ever train?
Well, I started late. I started when I was 18. With no martial arts, no boxing, no background or anything. And I live up in I'm Donegal, so right up north of Ireland, and there wasn't much MMA going on around me. So we had a club about an hour away, but it was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu based club. So that's how I went in. Started training there, and then that became my primary base. So
And of course, you are very good not only to in taking people on the ground, but even in few fights of yours, like especially like Mike Hamel, you show that you definitely can also defend the takedowns, and probably it can be if somebody is not that doesn't know your style, he can be surprised that you are as good as the grappler as you are, and you probably can take down like probably almost all lightweights.
yeah, well, Hamel was a good test. I think he was like I think he wrestled Division 1, but he was Division 2 All American. So his level was pretty high. And I seen him fighting the likes of Usman Nurmagomedov and taking him down a few times, and everyone else he faced, he took them down at least once. So I was happy that he didn't take me down once, and I was able to take him down. So that was another small feather take from that one.
And when you started your MMA training, at what point did you like think about MMA as the like career that you would like to pursue?
Straight away, like I started before I was training. My plan was to be a pro fighter, so I started training with the ambition of going as far as I could. So
So,
that was like, in my head, I was like, I'm gonna do it. Like, so I just started training the fucking.
and were you inspired a little bit by Conor?
Yeah, yeah. I would say if you went through, maybe not even just Ireland, but if you go through um the European scene now, I would say most were like, definitely in Ireland though.
And I think that around like 10 years ago, it was the first like super big moment for Irish MMA. It was 2014. It was this big show in Dublin when Conor fought against Diego Brandao. So it was like, I think that it was really big explosion of the sport in Ireland.
Oh, it was crazy. Like I remember for all his fights, all my friends and the groups around us everyone would meet up and go to someone's house or go to the pub and watch, even people who weren't in the MMA. And yourself, like there's even today there's a lot of people who aren't, but back then it was even smaller, and everyone was watching the fights. It's crazy.
And right now you train in SBG, right?
Yeah, SBG.
And of course, in this gym there are a lot of good prospects. But can you mention maybe someone who is not really known, who is like under the radar for now, but you know that he can be like super successful in the future?
Yeah, like I got asked this a few times as well, and the name I keep saying is Darragh Sullivan. He's a Thai boxer. I think he joined the gym slightly before me. He'd be about 23 years old. He's fighting. He just made his pro debut a couple of months ago with Woe in Spain, and he's fighting now again in December. And I think he can go as far as he wants in the sport. He's going to be very successful.
And I think that overall, like MMA in Europe has a little bit advantage because the fighters who are making their pro debut usually they are super experienced because they have a lot of amateur fights. Even in your case, you were undefeated. You fought against good guys, but sometimes even there are fighters who've got like 15 or 20 amateur bouts. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that I think that I actually in this aspect it's a little bit better than like in US when the fighters have sometimes like 3 or 4 fights.
Yeah, I didn't know that, to be honest. Why is that in America that they don't have as much? Is it the IMAFs or?
I'm not sure to be honest, but sometimes there are like not a big number, like 4 or 5
Mm,
fights, and they probably just want to go pro as
go
soon as
straight
they
pro.
want.
Yeah, because you're seeing a lot of European guys now, especially like the Russians and things too. They're coming in with at least 20 amateur fights before going pro. Like it just shows you how quick the game's evolving, how quick it's changing. Like um, I can remember when 5 or 6 amateur fights was a lot. Like
And also you train for at least for some time in Thailand.
yeah, yeah. Um, I'm going to go back to Thailand now to finish the year. I was hoping to get on the PFL Leon card. That's December 14th, I think it is. But no joy with that. So I'll go back to Bang Tao for maybe I'd say maybe 6 weeks. Go in the first week of November, right up until Christmas. And as I said before, many times it's nice to get a different look on things. Different perspective, different coaches, different training partners, new environment. And once you come home, man, it's like a reset. Everything's fresh, and you're ready to go again.
And I think that even like living there is kind of different in like any European
Mm.
countries.
Oh, but it's a different world out there. Everything's a lot more chilled back, and it's paradise out there. Like
And right now, when you are outside of the training camp, do you train like every day, or just prefer to take some of the rest?
I still do at least one session a day, just to keep ticking over more than anything. Like this week will be about 7 or 8 sessions, but nothing crazy. Like, and the fight was what's the fight 2.5 weeks ago. Like the last 2 weeks, I just done one every day, so I'm starting to up it a wee bit again now. I think it's just better to keep ticking over.
And like let's say, few weeks ago, when you were in the training camp,
Mm-hmm.
what do you do to avoid like burnout in the training camp?
Burnout. This is something I'm still getting used to. I'm only figuring it out now. Like you can be told 100 times that you're overdoing it, you're training too hard, and your coaches tell you to take a break. But when you don't have the experience or the knowledge, it's in one ear and out the other. You don't listen. And now, for the first time in my career, probably only this year, I'm starting to listen to my body. You know, I might train hard for 3 weeks and then taper for a week and then back at it. Whereas in the past, I could have been doing like 12 weeks hard, like to the point where you're just sick and tired and everything. So I think listening to the body, is that's another key detail. I'm starting to taper off a lot earlier too. Before the fight, like usually I would have trained hard right up until fight week, whereas now I'm starting to taper 3 weeks out. So I think that just leaves you in tip top shape, firing at 100% and all cylinders ready to go. And I think that's a big detail as well, because you see it always. You see like the amateurs, even the pros in the gym too. You can see that basically everyone is overdoing it. You're trying to it's like studying for an exam. You're trying to cram in all the study you can get the night before. Like it doesn't, it's not going to help you. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I think also that when you are younger, it's you are not thinking about this kind of things. You are just train all the time, and when you get a little bit older, you also get smarter with the things.
Mm. You're always learning in this game. I suppose you're always learning in life anyway, but yeah, you're always learning.
And for now, of course, you're like super successful in MMA, of course, undefeated, many finishes. But in your opinion, also when you watch fighters in the training room, what is the like one or a few key factors to be a successful MMA fighter?
Okay. I think the main thing, like of course all the different styles and all can you can approach training in different ways, but the main thing I'd say is just consistency. Like, you know, if you just keep showing up for years and years, you're well, it is more than just showing up too. You have to be smart, you have to be precise in what you're doing. um but without going into it too much, it's showing up, like it's putting the work in, it's not cutting the corners, but it's being smart in how you're doing it.
And also, like outside of the fight game, when you even right now when you have a little bit more free time, what do you like to do? Do you have like some additional hobby outside of the sport?
No, there wouldn't be too much I'd like to do. I think like I think this game's taken over my whole life to the point where nothing else really, like, you know, nothing else really excites me too much. Nah, there wouldn't be anything really. Like, I think that's something that you know, you see the likes of Dustin Poirier, he just retired, and you seen the comments he's saying about like how a part of him died, and he's, I suppose he's making out that he's battling depression now and that kind of stuff. Um, I think that you're just that consumed by the game that you've got the blinkers on, and he that's why like when fighters retire, they're lost. They don't know what to do with themselves, and I kind of feel a wee bit of that every single time I have a fight, because afterwards, you know, you've got a mission for 12 weeks, and you're dialed in. Everything you do is for that mission, and then afterwards, you're kind of, although you've got your long term goal still, it's like what now? Do you know? You've no name, and you're still switched on in fight mode. So I find that like that's tricky, but you just have to get back on the horse and get back at the training. That's what keeps you going, and you know, until you get your next mission, and then you're back in to chase that bit of adrenaline again. So it's a mad game, like.
So I think that it's great to see fighters like Demetrius Johnson, who retired some time ago, and he's like he's busy with other stuff, with like his podcast, with BJJ competition, and he's
Mm-hmm.
not interesting to not interested to going back to MMA, and I think that it is super important for the fighter who just retired to have this kind of other things to do with their lives.
Yeah, 100%. Like he's probably one of the best examples, isn't he? Like you always see boys come, you know, a comeback fight, this, that, and the other. They have one foot in, one foot out. But I like Demetrius Johnson. He's doing his streaming when he's playing the Xbox or PlayStation, whatever it is. He's doing his BJJ. He's got his podcast. I think you have to have, as you said, you know, you have to have this all lined up or have some sort of a plan of what you're going to do to keep busy.
Okay, Darragh, so many thanks for the time and for conversation. I hope that you will be back in the PFL quite soon, and you will go for another finish in your next fight.
Nice one, Marson. Thanks for having me on.